Here are some licks over a different form that you're probably not accustomed to using, and I want to explore your options on the fingerboard. The chord form is a G7 voicing. So we have it demonstrated in C7, which means you would be barring all the way across the 5th fret, and then with your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers you would form your original folk G7 folk chord that you know down here. The open string, that's why I call it folk chord. You know it like that, so play it with your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. So this is our chord form. Now what that means is it orients our root, 5th, 6th, and flat 7 a little differently than when we play our traditional forms based off the E7 and the A7 forms. Let's discuss this. Your root will be played with your 3rd finger, 8th fret of the 6th string. You'll be deadening the 5th string with the underside of your ring finger, easily accomplished, and then your 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers will play the 5, 6, flat 7 respectively. Now before you try these licks, I suggest you play these exercises. And intonation will be an issue on this also, because it's easy to distort things and get out of tune. So make sure you can touch all 4 notes. That means your hand has to come in at a bit of an angle. And then just practice holding that and just go into different keys and make sure you're bullseye. Before you play a note, you should know whether it's going to ring nice and clear. You want to stay behind the fret. You'll have a tendency to creep up on the fret, especially that little finger, and likewise your 1st finger. That would give you a muffled tone. You want to stay behind the fret. Then I suggest you practice some slur exercises. Just hammer-ons and pulls. And you can just... You can run it across the neck, but for now we'll just stay on the strings that we need for this example. So let's look at example 1, the tablature. Now the 5 that's in parentheses on the 4th string, for now, take away the parentheses. I'll explain what that's about in just a minute. You're going to start off playing... Now we want this heartbeat feel, so we play 2 voices, then 1. Just get that going. That's just the first 3 lines of the 5, 7, 8, the G, A, B flat. That's the same as our traditional boogie woogie on adjacent strings. It has a little different sound because now the 5, 6, flat 7 comes out brighter. You're on a thinner diameter string. You've got to get that staccato and don't go. That won't sound right. So I suggest you do that first, and then. Now the lick could be played a couple of different ways. It's a flat 3 to 3 to 5 lick. You could go 1st finger on the E flat, hammer the E. While that's being played, you reach back with your 1st finger, and then you play the G. Or you can play a legato slide with your 2nd finger. Now I'm putting kick 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I've got that kick on the and of 4. We have an upstroke mark right there. You have some options. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But then let's look at those parentheses. The first G that occurs on beat 1 I have in parentheses. That's because when you start it over, you might not even play that note because you just played it for the kick. Listen up. See how? I'm not going to hit it again. So that's what that's all about. Example 2, you simply are playing another voice on top of the boogie woogie. Now this is a little more demanding technically. You're going to be playing these hyperextended bars. If you're not accustomed to these, work on them. Don't get frustrated if you can't play this. Save it for a future date. So that's some variations on example 2. This is really a great position because you're going to have some other things that are available. I'm not going to go into it now. But on your own, you could explore putting other notes that are available out of the chord, out of the minor pentatonic, in this position with your 2nd and your 4th fingers.